the universe and everything.
I'm here in the Nen Valley between Limburgh to my left and Higham Ferrers, my hometown, to my right. Now this path has taken the place of a dirt track, basically a rabbit track pretty much, that I used to take between Higham Ferrers and Limburgh, going round to my mate's house every Saturday. Every Saturday without fail. And we'd smoke, and we'd drink, and we'd go and do stupid stuff. But we had a good time. And yeah, this has changed a lot, just as my hometown has changed a lot. And so I want to talk about progress. Hopefully we're going to get some more of that blue sky, because it suddenly came overcast and we were supposed to have had a lovely warm sunny day today. See if we get that. Carpeted with pussy willow. Here we go. Pussy willow. It's like cotton, I suppose. Now then, Sudsy, this is posh, right? This is posh. Look how posh these chaps look. Huh? Look how posh they look on a lovely lake that they've got. Of course, never used to be lakes here. When I was born, way back in 1967, over that way in Higham Ferrers, there were no lakes down here. The only time the valley would get wet would be when it would flood, and it would flood quite regular. So back in the 80s, early 80s, and this particular field would flood. I mean, we're talking about 1981, 1980, 81, when this particular field would flood. I would make my equivalent of miniature reed boats, like, do you remember the Torhayadal, Kontiki and Ra 2 boats that he would make in the style of the ancient Sumerians and whatever, Egyptians and that. I would make them out of that yellow grass that you see blowing to the right. I would make replicas and I'd sail them on the floodwater here. Got to have a hobby, right? So that's heading towards Royston Lakes, and that's heading towards Stannock Lakes, which is now a leisure area, which is great, because at least they're making use of the sand and gravel extraction, which is what made the lakes. So that's looking across the field I was talking about the boats about, over to Limburgh. Shell of a freshwater mussel. You get all sorts back down here, but it's always been a beautiful valley. But never more so than when it was just grazing land for all the lovely black and white cows. Was it Frisians? Are they Frisians? I don't know. So we're coming to one of the bridges that was originally built for the railway to come down and to take away the iron ore. This line is another one that fell victim, by the way, to the beaching cuts in '64, so just another little bit of progress. But yeah, Northampton to Peterborough line for a while, but mostly for the iron ore from the mine, which is no longer there. I tell you, I'm in heaven. I just wish the sun had come out. It's a stonework, concrete work from probably the old days of the railway line. We're going to go over and sit on the lock, I do believe, after this, which is over that direction. Look at all the blackthorn and the hawthorn. And now again, I'm sorry about the shaky camera. This will get remedied very soon. Here we go, proper old bridge. Look at these girders. It's a Mark II apparently. How's that for a nut and a bolt? Crazy. K141. This bit obviously is new. Over there we got the overspill from the gypsy encampment. I'll say no more, just that they've filled a bit of this valley up with absolute shite and detritus. Old cars, old vans, mounds of old containers and junk. Yeah, it's probably recycling in progress, but I'm not so sure. Again, with the progress, you see. Let's have another little think about progress as well. The big worry for us in the 70s and 80s was that the farmers were ripping up hedgerows. And a lot of the hedgerows, of course, were very, very old, very ancient, and they've got long established like ecosystems of insect life and bird life and I guess rodents and stuff as well, badgers, rabbits, so on. We were concerned that they were ripping all them up, but then when we joined the common market, it was more prudent for the farmers not to work the fields, so they stopped ripping up the hedgerows, which was a good thing. But then England ended up being a big warehouse, so a lot of the beautiful land, rather than becoming great prairies, became warehouse parks. Progress. But on the subject of the life in the hedgerows, since the 70s, England has seen, I think it's, I can't remember whether it's 40% or 60% reduction in all insect life. Now you can guarantee that's not a 60 or 40% reduction in things like maggots, houseflies, fleas, ticks, lice. It's not that. It'll be the beetles that the birds eat, and black fly, crane flies. You can guarantee plenty of mosquitoes. I can almost guarantee you that. Now do you know what? There's a visitor centre. Oh, that's another thing. The tannery. So yeah, there was a lot of tanneries around here because of all the cattle that we had around here, and Northamptonshire was massively boot and shoe industry. Made a lot of the boots for World War I, as I mentioned in the other one. So we're heading up here for the locks. This is a navigation waterway. This is the Nen. And I just love the bird song. I just love the bird song. We used to walk this path all the way along, and I'm pretty sure you probably still can, all the way to Rushden Lakes, or at least the footbridge over the diverted Nen, because they diverted it, because of course you do, for the bypass, which you can probably hear in the background. And there's moorage for boats, and more just beyond those bushes over there, which you probably can't see because of the foreshortening that you get with this camera. Now this lock didn't always used to be gated at this end. At this end it used to be one of those giant portcullis, so you go up and down. Big sluice gate, huge sluice gate. It was gated at that end, but not this, which is a shame. I guess this works better, or just works. Again, further moorage up there for barges and pleasure boats, and I dare say we'll see a few of these around here. I'm glad to see this is still here, but it's obviously here for water management, isn't it? It's necessary. Across the river there, at least, is exactly how it used to be. That's a little bit that's unchanged. Now, you know, back in the day when everyone was poor, and you had to make your own entertainment, the sun would bake the cowpats hard. Perfectly clean. Well, let's face it, they're just chewed up grass anyway, right? Nothing wrong with that. We'd use them as frisbees. They flew quite well. Nobody tried to catch them though. That field there was always very marshy. I don't know if I'm audible, whether the wind's caught that. That field there was always very marshy. And you would get wild mallow there. You know the saying, marshmallows? It's mallow that grows in the marshes. It's a plant. So basically marshmallows are supposed to taste like flowers. Of course you can't get there now because Kings Meadow Lane now goes up over a footbridge. It used to go that way. I bet that's still a good mushroom field. Oh dear. All this blue, sand and gravel extraction. All of it except for, yeah, all of it is sand and gravel extraction. All of it there. Along here there is a lake further down here which has got, well, it's Royston Lakes. It's a shopping centre and a lake that you can walk round or cycle round. It's only about a quarter of a mile round, but it's not really worth it. But that used to be for ski bridge, ski slope, dry ski slope and water skiing. Anyway, eventually we'll get back to the railway line. We're getting more of that blue stuff now, so that's good. The grey seems to be going and the blue is coming back. We've even got blue on the ground, look. Look at this lot. Woohoo! Oh, that comes out. Nice. Said something on that sign about this being a place of special scientific interest or something because of the habitats, and long may it remain that way. There's been too much of it dug up, sold off, built on already. I want it to stay as natural as possible from here on in. Please God. I mean, look, I walked under that as a 7-year-old. Now I'm doing the same as a 54-year-old. Right, that's looking back down. Athlone to our left, Higham Ferris to our right, or probably more properly Rushden to our right now. And this is where the railway line would have split off to carry on that way towards Wellingborough, and that way up to, I forget what it started its name as, basically the iron mine, the iron ore mine. It started, I think it was Ebervale Iron Ore or something, or they took it over from somebody else, and it ended up as Richards, Thomas and Baldwin. My granddad worked there as a clerk while it was still going. Obviously shut down in, well, definitely 1964 because it had no rail to serve it then, and all the machines got broken up and the building stood until, I think, the late 80s. We certainly used to play in them, as I've mentioned. There were some pretty substantial buildings still there, but lots of broken glass, and obviously people were going there to glue sniff bins. That's what people did in them days. It was punk, you know, it was punk. So what I might do actually is I'll find somewhere nice to sit, and then I'll just finish off with a little waffle about progress. Now, it's a good thing and also a bad thing. Mostly, as I think, a bad thing. Right then, I've brought you here for the last little bit because this is the fishing spot that I did fishing on, and the only time I've ever been fishing with my dad, when I got a fishing rod for Christmas one year. It was along here, and I was never interested in fishing. I think my dad was trying to encourage me to like stuff that he liked, hence the fishing rod, which got used once and then sold. But anyway, that's by the by. We're here to talk about progress. And I'm using this valley as a metaphor for progress in general. and how it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. No, it's an absolute paradise down here now, but it wasn't always the way. If I think this used to be just a river valley with grazing fields, pasture land for the dairy herds, and then I think it was in 1930 or thereabouts they sank the mine for the iron ore. The railway line was there, put in place probably a little earlier than that, probably about 20. And anyway, that all saw its day and finished definitely by 1964. 3 years later I was born, and in my short life this valley has been pasture land with an exciting ruined mine to explore, and mine buildings, and an old railway line. And then they came along and did the gravel extraction and dug up vast swathes of the grazing land and left it looking like the surface of the moon for a good few years, and that's in fact what we referred to it as, the surface of the moon. But again, it was a great place to play still. Then of course it flooded, and even in the times before they extracted it, like I was saying, or before the extractions had got so far up towards the viaduct for the A6, there were fields there that would flood and would freeze, and I'd go skating and I'd be making the reed boats and floating the reed boats on it, and we'd be going down there and playing war, and I'd be cutting across on my beaten up racing bike to go and visit my mate Pete every Saturday. So then they decided, after they'd finished extracting all the gravel and everything and were working their way slowly towards Stanwick, Higham Ferrers decided it needed a bypass, and we built the bypass. And to build the bypass we had to divert the river, and in the process of diverting the river, the Wharf Road Bridge was dismantled and replaced with something modern. Progress, progress, progress. We've gone from pasture land to a railway, to gravel extraction, to a bypass, and now we've got a huge roundabout. And of course the north end of Higham Ferrers has been greatly increased as well, so that's more fields built over. The old mine workings has been built over, more houses, more houses, more houses. So it could have naturalised quite nicely. So progress in the intervening time has restructured and remodelled the valley. It's diverted the river, created lakes where there weren't lakes, taken gravel out where it had lain since the glacier passed this way. Progress. So this is what is at the other end of the railway line. Here's your progress. And the thing of it is, 9 times out of 10 we can do bugger all to stop this kind of progress, because there's your progress, because of a little bit of progress that happened hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the Enclosures Act, where the common man of the United Kingdom, of England and Wales, and possibly Scotland as well, I'm not sure, the common man had common land taken away from him, and ownership was given by the Crown to a few who have been exploiting it, using it and denying us access to it ever since. That's why you see so many private properties and no entry and trespassers will be prosecuted signs, because we don't own any of our country. Most of it's owned by wealthy Arabs and dukes. This land is not our land, it's theirs. And that's how come we can have progress like this, and we're made to feel glad about it. Well, I ain't. Call this fucker progress? Because I don't.